Welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shubhani Gharat. WPP's Media Investment Group restructured its agency brands with 5 agency brands under the Group M umbrella. Now, under this restructure, Essence and Mediacom were merged to form EssenceMediacom, a new agency that fused the digital and data-driven DNA of Essence with Mediacom's scaled multi-channel audience planning and strategic media expertise. Nick Lawson, the global CEO of Mediacom, now leads this newly formed EssenceMediacom as a global CEO. He was visiting India recently, the first market he visited after this merger. I caught up with him and spoke to him about the vision for this new entity, India business, and with 10,000 people and 120 offices around the world, how are they planning or aiming to become the largest media agency in the world? On his maiden visit to India, we are catching up with Nick. Welcome to CNBC-TV18.
Thanks very much, very kind. We officially launched the agency 10 days ago, and I'd been promising Navin since COVID really, that the first agency that I would visit, the first country I'd visit, would be India. Yeah. So it's a promise, but reality, I made that promise because India's been the fastest growing company under my watch for the last sort of 3 years. And the opportunity here, I think, is as big as anywhere in the world for us to grow, especially with the new company and launching the new company. So I really wanted to kind of put India, I guess, on the map.
Correct. So the first market that you're visiting is the India market.
Yeah.
What is the kind of goal that you have set out for Naveen in the country?
I genuinely believe in the next 3 years, 3 to 4 years anyway, we can probably double in size. We launched as the 3rd biggest agency in India, and I think the potential for us here is exponential. I also think that we can grow our share of what we do for clients as well. I think that part of the proposition of putting Essence and Mediacom together is that the nature that you don't have to choose between now a traditional media agency and a performance agency. We're giving clients the best of both, performance together under one roof, one-stop shop. But more than that, I think there's potential with the different types of capabilities that we have between the agencies is to really build on that. So I didn't want to create a slightly better version of Mediacom or a slightly better version of Essence. I really wanted to create something new. It's called EssenceMediacom. It's a bit of a mouthful. We'll probably shorten it to EM over time, as you can see walking through the agency. But I think both brands have a global reputation, and I want them to be associated together. And I think we want to really try and challenge the market and challenge our clients around some of the big questions that they're facing right at this moment in time. And they are, how can I get my creative and media to work more closely together? You've got a whole ecosystem, what I call the new comms economy, building up, and clients are struggling to get the right messaging on those platforms. And I think with our experience, especially with Google as our biggest client across the world, we can answer some of those questions in those areas and really help clients there. I think a lot of clients are struggling between that classic dilemma between brand advertising, siloing brand advertising with their performance media as well, and
That's
how
right.
do I bring those two together? I think that's a crucial question. And we straddle that bridge, and we've got so much experience across our client base of doing both things.
Yeah.
So helping them solve that. And I also think clients are struggling to justify budgets, right? How does my marketing budget really pay back on my P&L? How do I justify the money that I spend to my CEOs? So I'm really interested in becoming much more central to a client's comm strategy and turning us maybe from just a pure play media planning and buying agency into much more of a general comms communications agency.
It took about 9 months for this entire merger to happen. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And what was the kind of impact on the talent? How about cultures? How about merging the two cultures of Essence and Mediacom together? I believe they have 2 distinct working ways and cultures. Yeah. Is that
I mean, yes, absolutely. It's actually a really good question. And you're right, agencies are based on culture. And I'm a great believer, there's an old cliche, I guess, the Peter Drucker quote, culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's true, you can have the greatest plan in the world, but if you haven't got the right culture, you're never going to be successful. So culture has really been the main focal point for me and how I build a common culture between those two agencies. And I think, first of all, both cultures were really aligned around, we both put people first. Essentials call their people essentials, and we've kept that as part of our sort of terminology. And Mediacom always said about themselves, people first, better results. So people were always at the heart of our business. And I want EssenceMediacom to be a place where people can grow their careers. So growing as an agency is really important. If you look at my background, I spent 30 years. I started off as somebody's assistant in Mediacom in the early 90s, and I've worked my way right the way through the company. And I want everybody in EssenceMediacom, if they want that opportunity, to have it right. So I think that, number one, is the most important thing, that we're going to be growth orientated. And I think both companies always have been. I think if you look at, and I'm also a great believer in looking at personality types. So if I was to define Mediacom's personality and Essence's personality, if you look at something like communications dynamics, Mediacom's personalities, I would define us as being quite drivers and quite expressive in our nature. So we're very goal orientated, we're very competitive on new business, and I define Essence's culture as much more analytical and more amiable, slightly quieter. But we're a formidable combination. So we kind of complete a fully rounded personality when together and when we truly listen to each other.
So you have brought together drivers and analytical folks together.
And that is where
that
the magic
working
happens.
well?
Yeah, and that's where the magic happens, right? And we've spent 9 months. I think it's been an incredible journey. I think it's been humbling, getting to know the talent across, because I know Mediacom inside out, obviously having come from that business. But it's been actually really humbling getting to know the Essence talent, crafting them. If you look at the global team that we announced, it's really well balanced between Essence and Mediacom. And again, we've kept country by country in the markets where Essence existed, which existed in essentially 6 markets. We've really created teams of people now and blended those teams together in those markets.
Yeah, so 10,000 people across
It's true.
120 offices around the world.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So that makes you the largest agency under the new Group M restructuring exercise. Third largest in India, globally the largest agency under the Group M's new structure.
Yeah.
What are the targets and the goals that you have outlined for the global leadership teams and teams from the other markets?
I think
Considering also the challenging global macroeconomic factors.
We're pretty close to being the largest global agency, but I'm not totally obsessed with size. I think scale is important in media companies for capability reasons. But I think for me, it's about really positioning ourselves as being crucial to clients' needs. So what I want to be is, I guess, the most recommended agency in the world. And that's what I'm focusing my team on being. So that's a big stretch, because I'm talking about not just media agencies, all agencies.
Recommended by clients.
Recommended by clients.
So having said that, what has been the impact on businesses, on clients, post the restructuring exercise, post this merger? How are they looking at this new entity?
Well, I think, first of all, we certainly wouldn't have done any merger without talking to some of our key clients before we kind of entertained it. The great thing about Essence and Mediacom is we're pretty complementary businesses. We had no major global client conflicts at all. Where we did have some conflict in the UK, we've maintained 2 separate offices. So we've got EM and EMX in the UK, which and we've talked to both sets of clients about that, and they appreciate the fact that we've kept separation in terms of management teams and offices. So I think we've handled that very well. I think we've had to defend some clients along the way, and we've had to unveil a new proposition to those clients. So we did big global defense of PlayStation across the winter, which we succeeded in doing. So where we've rolled out the EM proposition, it's been incredibly successful, I would say. And all the clients I've talked to have been really, really positive about it.
On that note, what does the new business pipeline look like? Any new clients in India and other markets?
Since I've been here, I think we've won 3 clients, none of which I think I can probably tell you.
Since you've been here,
Since I've been here this week, we've won 3 clients.
That's fast.
So that is fast. And I don't know whether it was just because he wanted to condense them all to my arrival.
Sure.
But literally, since I've been here. So I mean, Navin has got a fantastic track record here, okay, of growth. I expect our India market to kind of double really in the next 3 or 4 years. I think we'll be super competitive in this market. I also think this is the best example of we're sitting in the WPP campus. I think this is one of the best examples in the world of the power of WPP in any market.
Nick, 3 decades at Mediacom.
It does make me sound,
30
old.
years. So Mediacom has seen you through all your life stages, and likewise, you've seen Mediacom through all its life stages. What has been the journey like, and how have you seen this agency evolve over the past 30 years?
Well, I guess I connect the old world with the new world in media agencies, and there's probably very few of us still now that can do that, because you'd have had to have been around 30 years since the start of, I guess, media dependence. So when I joined the industry, we were media departments within creative agencies, and I've seen the separation. I guess I've seen that journey of the separation of media to us being real strategic partners and making media really important pure play. And now I think we're going to graduate to be kind of the all-rounders, I guess, of the communications industry, which is where I think media agencies will end up in the future. So, and that's been an amazing journey. I haven't joined a company though of 10,000. I didn't join a company of 10,000 people. I mean, I joined a company of 34 people.
34 people.
34 people that was bought by Mediacom in the late 90s. So I've worked for small companies. I've done pretty much every job in between. In fact, Sue Uniman, who's the Chief Strategy Officer in the UK, still works for us. I was her assistant. She employed me as her assistant back in 1991. So it's been. So I like to think I've worked for about 4 or 5 different agencies, if I'm honest. And then old Mediacom was bought by WPP in the mid-noughties, and then it changed again. And then I've run the UK. I've been in EMEA. I've been global COO, and now I'm global CEO. And then we merged with Essence. So it's been a really. It's been like 20 different jobs, even though I stayed in the agency, even though I stayed essentially within the same agency. It's been lots and lots of different jobs. And I come back to the point that the only reason I stayed that long is I was given the opportunity to grow with the company, and we were a growing company. And I think if you have that in your sort of DNA and you provide that, I think you can give everybody a great pioneering adventure that works for you. And agencies should be about that, right? They should be exciting, dynamic. They should be adventures. We should be pioneering. We should be trying to change what we do as much as we can.
And what made you stay in this business for such a long time?
Well, I think media, we've just done a town hall downstairs, and I was just saying that I don't think there's ever been a better time to work in media. And I thought that when I joined in the first place. Secretly, I really wanted to be a copywriter. I'm so glad I wasn't that good at it. Because media has been the most dynamic, most exciting place to work in the last 30 years, and no more so than today if you think about what's happening in the market.
Your key advice to brands and marketers with utilization of media going forward this year, or in the coming months or years?
I think differently. Think about how you break through in the new communications economy, because you cannot do exactly what you were doing before. Eyeballs are shifting. And straight play advertising isn't always going to work in the future. So you have to start thinking differently about how you go about getting across your messages. And whether you work with us or not, use your media agency, because they'll be the best place to start.
Yeah.
To give you relevancy in the platform.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.